This week, Susan Sarandon and Natalie Portman pursue a new life anywhere but here.
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are fallen angels trying to get home in Dogma.
And Mila Jovovich stars as the messenger, the story of Joan of Arc.
You're awfully quiet.
Said we'd seen an Indian reservation.
When we get to one, we will see one.
I bet we won't even stop in Las Vegas, will we?
Susan Sarandon and Natalie Portman play a Wisconsin mother and daughter who fight over relocating to Los Angeles in Anywhere But Here, and it's one of 5 new movies this week. I'm Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Joyce Kilhawick, film critic for WBZ-TV in Boston. Nice to be back.
Nice to have you back, Joyce. Susan Sarandon is almost always interesting and surprising in her movie roles, and Natalie Portman was wonderful in Beautiful Girls 2 years before she became famous in The Phantom Menace. And together, they make a good team, smart and feisty in Anywhere But Here, a movie that requires them to beat each other's throats for about half of the time.
You are a beautiful girl with great potential. I'm not going to see your future as some nothing girl in a nothing factory in a nothing town. You are 14 years old. You've always had enough to eat. You've always had a roof over your head. And if you stick with me, you always will, because I am your mother. And I know what is best for you because that is my job.
Sometimes it's hard to figure out who's the mother and who's the daughter.
Let's get dressed up and go out to dinner. What? Well, you love that little French restaurant. It's just what we need.
We need a bed for me. We need a desk. We need sheets. We need towels. We don't need to go out to eat to a French restaurant.
Sarandon's character finds instant happiness way too easily. It's when she meets a new guy at the beach. He's played by Hart Bachner.
So you're the actress, I hear?
Oh, no, not me, her. My mom's the actress.
Silly girls, don't be shy. Dr. Spritzer's an orthodontist, and he works with the actresses. He did Heather Locklear, her teeth.
Anywhere But Here has something in common with last year's Slums of Beverly Hills, which was also about lower-income people determined to live in the 90210 zip code. But this movie has something deeper going on, I think. The Sarandon character is frankly not very likable. She's even a little crazy. The movie's complicated, too, because Sarandon may actually be doing the right thing at the wrong time for the wrong reasons, and her daughter may benefit, actually, from this strange year in Southern California. The plot's not blindingly original, but the characters and performances are intriguing, and I like this film.
It's true. This is a film that could easily look like a cliche. It could have played that way, but because it is so well cast, it works beautifully. Natalie Portman more than holds her own on the screen. She impressed me more than anything. Susan Sarandon is always wonderful, but Portman, we've seen her do lots of things, but nothing this calm, this quiet, this stable. I thought they perfectly circumscribed the landscape of that mother-daughter relationship during the teen years. That is tricky terrain.
Absolutely. Here's this girl who's trying to balance also high school classmates who have different values than the ones she left behind in Wisconsin, a mother who asks her questions like, are you having sex, but doesn't seem to be the person you would turn to for advice on this subject. So she is actually the more mature one, and it's like a daughter raising her mother. And by the end of the movie, they do kind of get raised.
It's true, but even so, it isn't just that. Sometimes the roles do reverse.
Yes.
And some scenes that are set up that could be sort of formula change, like when they may be going to this party, and you can imagine Susan Sarandon may feel out of place in this Beverly Hills home, but it doesn't go there. It goes someplace else, and it's a very moving scene.
Yes, it is.
We like this movie. Our next movie is the first of its kind. It began as a video game from Japan and has become an international phenomenon in the form of books, music, videos, a TV show, and trading cards in the hands of school kids all over the world. For the uninitiated, which I was up until recently, Pokemon is a game in which the players are called trainers and they battle other trainers in order to capture, not kill, Pokemon creatures with special powers unique to them. In Pokemon, the first movie, scientists have cloned an ancient Pokemon called Mew and created Super Pokemon Mewtwo, and he's not happy about it.
So I am simply the end result of your experiment. What becomes of me now that your experiment is over?
Oh, our experiment isn't over yet. It's just beginning.
Meanwhile, Pokemon trainers Ash, Misty, and Brock receive an unusual invitation to come to a party where they will meet someone special.
What's that?
But it's a trap, and Mewtwo reveals his plan to take over the world with a race of super Pokemon clones.
So you do have some fight fight in you. But I have no time for games. Destiny is at hand. Who will rule? My super Pokemon? Or your pathetic group of spineless, inferior Pokemon?
Things get worse as Mewtwo sends a group of flying black spheres to capture Ash's favorite Pokemon, the adorable Pikachu.
Keep running, Pikachu!
It took a while for me to warm up to the characters themselves, with the exception of Pikachu, who is the most expressive of the Pokemon and figures prominently in the emotional climax. I could certainly recommend this movie for you kids. This is a cartoon with a very gentle and positive message, which is pretty clearly spelled out. My final assessment, Pokemon may be hokey for adults, but will be okie dokie with the kids.
Well, you know, if a movie is not good for adults, in a way it isn't good for kids either, because this movie, it seems to me, is basically just part of the whole marketing thing to encourage kids to be inquisitive about these Pokemon things. And I know they're obsessed by them. I know there are 4 million Game Boys out there, and they all have the trading cards, and they watch the TV show and all of that. But what is this really about? I mean,
well, it's about love. It's about a lot of things.
It's about acquiring Pokemons.
I think that it's okay that it's maybe a movie just for kids, even though it's probably better.
Yeah, that is technically okay. But, you know, there are movies that, like, for example, My Neighbor Totoro and Kiki's Delivery Service, 2 Japanese animated films.
Movies,
that are so
no doubt
infinitely
about it.
better and wiser and gentler and nicer. And in this one, they fight for an hour, and then they have a message at the end about how fighting is bad. But then they're going to have a sequel where they fight some more.
I can't believe I'm actually sort of sticking up for Pokemon, but I didn't think it was that bad. I thought the fighting was sort of controlled. I thought there was a human quality to it. I was really moved at the end when Pikachu teared up, and the final message is about love and togetherness and hanging in there, and even the villain is transformed.
Okay, well, I wish you directed the movie, because I think you've got a better message than I got out of the movie. Coming up next, 2 movies about saints. The Messenger, a new epic about Joan of Arc. And next, the controversial comedy Dogma.
Why do you feel the need to come to this place all the time? My friend, because this is humanity at its best. Why do you feel the need to come to this place all the time? My friend, because this is humanity at its best. Look at them. All that anger, all that mistrust, all that unhappiness. Forgotten for that one perfect moment when they get off the plane.
2 fallen angels, played there by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, hang out at the Milwaukee airport in that early scene from Dogma. And this, of course, is the comedy by Kevin Smith that is finally arriving in theaters after months of controversy. The bottom line is, this is a smart satire, a little too long, but very funny, that confirms Smith's ability to make entertaining movies that actually have ideas in them. This movie is about something. Those 2 fallen angels have found a loophole that may get them back into heaven, or it may, on the other hand, negate the entire universe. Linda Fiorentino may be able to save the world. She stars as a distant descendant of Jesus who meets 2 unlikely prophets, Slackers, played by Jason Mewes, and the director himself, Kevin Smith.
You're going to lead me somewhere.
Me lead you? Lady, look at me. I don't even know where the hell I am half the time.
Someone told me I'd meet you and you'd take me someplace I was supposed to go.
On her mission to save the universe, Fiorentino meets a stripper who used to be a muse, played by Salma Hayek. And she also meets the 13th apostle that you never hear about, played by Chris Rock.
I gave my 2 weeks notice, got a body, $50, and got sent out into the world to make my fortune.
So what happened?
Writer's block. I didn't believe it. Me, a muse, for God's sake.
Since the plot of Dogma is based on the assumption that everything the Catholic Church teaches is absolutely true, maybe it's not the Catholics who ought to be offended. I found it funny and stimulating. It's in the tradition of George Bernard Shaw, who was writing satires about religion and other serious subjects a century ago. Today, most filmmakers steer clear of even seeming to have a religious idea. Kevin Smith has made a good film, and in its own way, a courageous film.
Wow, I had such a completely different reaction. First of all, the biggest offense for me in this film was that it was not funny. That's its biggest sin. It was certainly a movie that had ideas, but if you're talking about putting down dogma because it bogs down simple faith and it's about this elaborate, labyrinthine set of laws, then why trout out a whole movie that spews more dogma? This was exhausting, all this about the signs and the apostles and the fallen angels.
This movie did not put down dogma. This movie celebrates dogma. This movie says, here's a situation where these angels have found a dogmatic loophole that's going to cause a lot of trouble, and we have to save the universe.
And I think that's the point of the satire,
Well,
which is that if you can have a religion that says, uh-oh, God made a mistake, and here's a loophole.
You can't, though. You can't have that religion. Turns out it's not a loophole.
Well, it's about a plenary indulgence, and we could probably spend 3 hours discussing
Which is
that.
the fascinating thing about the movie. I mean, last week we reviewed a movie called The Bachelor, which was about zilch. This movie, we could talk about, you and I, for 3 or 4 hours about the ideas in this movie.
I'm suggesting that there would be a more entertaining way to do that without numbing everybody out with all of this
attitudes, the whole
exhaustive dialogue about things. I went through 12 years of Catholic schools, and I was hanging on for dear life. And it was boring in a way. It was just dull if you could catch what was going on.
I went through Catholic school, too. We used to talk about this stuff all the time. We were always trying to figure out, will this be a mortal sin? Will this be a venial sin? These characters, and Kevin Smith is a Catholic, says he goes to church every Sunday.
If you aren't Catholic, you'd be completely lost. But
well,
even if you are, it would be completely exhausting, and was. And what about Selma Hayek as a muse turned stripper fighting an excrement-covered demon?
Strippers
Is that
and muses,
funny? When you're 6,
strippers
it's
and muses
funny,
kind of have the same function at times. Coming up next, the new film from the director of The Fifth Element, The Messenger, the story of Joan of Arc.
Follow me!
I can see you're a good man. But you're not the Dauphin.
That's Mila Jovovich as the Maid of Orleans, passing her first test by identifying who is and who is not the future King of France. The film is called The Messenger, the story of Joan of Arc, and it practically leaps off the screen. Acclaimed French director Luc Besson has rendered a vibrant, realistic, and complex movie about the teenage girl from a small village who led the French to victory over the English in 1429. In this scene, Joan tells the real Dauphin of her divine mission and inspiration. He's played by John Malkovich.
I was going to Mass, like I do every day. When the same strange wind.
Besson's ability to evoke altered states of consciousness and yet ground a scene in reality are completely in evidence here. His lens takes us right into battle behind a mesmerizing Jovovich as her inflamed warrior rallies the troops. The film renders a very humanly plausible Joan, who grows more complex as she struggles with her own demons in prison. Dustin Hoffman plays her conscience.
Who are you to even think you can know the difference between good and evil? Are you God?
I'm just a messenger.
The camera takes us right into the most visceral battle scenes, as well as the turmoil of her troubled psyche. Jovovich is wholly believable in this part, which requires her to be both human and superhuman. I was never less than completely engrossed for all 2.5 hours of The Messenger.
Oh, my God. You fell for this?
I thought this really worked.
I thought this movie was shallow, dumb, boring, endless. It wanted to be Braveheart, and it failed. You know, I've seen 2 great movies about Joan of Arc by Dreyer and by Bresson, which are about her spiritual crisis. And here is a movie that's basically about a teenage girl who looks like a model and leads all these people into battle.
This is a modern take on a classic
I don't want to be
story.
modern.
It's
I don't want
updated.
No, it's not updated. It's cheapened. It's turned into some kind of a battlefield picture with lots of swords and horses.
What's cheap about it? They deal
because
with
they're
Joan
more
in
interested in the
complete
action
way.
than they are in the spiritual crisis.
Oh, I completely disagree. I mean, I think that it's very clear that she's engaged in some kind of inner struggle, and he evokes that at the end of the film. And actually all the way through when she's talking, when she's having those conversations with Dustin Hoffman's character. The conscience.
But if you want to see that inner struggle, go see The Passion of Joan of Arc by Dreyer.
It's a different vision for different times, and I think this works. I think audiences will connect with this picture.
Good movies are good movies, whether they're new or old, and bad ones are bad, even if they're
I think this will hold up.
Okay, our next movie is Felicia's Journey, and this is the Canadian director Adam Agoyan's first film since the powerful The Sweet Hereafter. This one is also about a lost girl and a predatory male, like Sweet Hereafter was, but in a much different way. It tells the story of a man named Hilditch, played by Bob Hoskins, who is a chef in a factory. He spends his nights alone in a big old house preparing complicated recipes while following videotapes of an old TV show. That's Arseny Kanjian, Agoyan's wife, as the cooking instructor, and the little boy, of course, grows up to be Mr. Hilditch, who befriends a desperate Irish girl named Felicia, who has come to England looking for her boyfriend.
Drink some of that tea while it's warm. The goodness is in the warmth, they say.
That is Elaine Cassidy as the young girl who is in grave danger from this odd and seemingly innocuous little man.
Things happen. Things take a turn.
Felicia's journey is based on a novel by William Trevor, one of the greatest of living writers, and like most of his stories, it doesn't have villains so much as victims. The movie contains the elements of a thriller, but it doesn't let us off the hook that easily. When he gets to the end of the story, Agoyan would rather use irony than action, and the result is a film that lingers and grows in your memories until you finally appreciate that it's not just about a girl in danger from a twisted man, but about misery leaping from one life to another.
And Agoyan is so good at doing this because he is able, the way he did in The Sweet Hereafter, to take the surface of things and have a very controlled, tranquil surface, but underneath are the most just demoralizing and horrifying emotional sentiments and really horrifying circumstances sometimes. And he lets that camera pan over the details of this man's life to show what they reveal and what they hide about him.
Absolutely. You know, lesser filmmakers would have taken this novel by Trevor and turned it into some kind of a demented thriller with Mr. Hilditch as kind of the Norman Bates character.
Exactly.
And this movie has sympathy and pity for him as well as for her. These are two people who both suffer.
It's not so simple. It's not so simple. You can't say because his mother was this way, he is this way. It could have gone a lot of different ways. It's very penetrating.
Absolutely. When we come back, our video pick, and this is a video pick that you can see free right now at home. We'll tell you how.
An hour of rambling. He's like...
Roger Ebert in the Movies Video Pick of the Week is brought to you by Nestle Raisinets. At the movies or at home, Raisinets.
Okay, time for the video pick, and I first caught this film at the Sundance Film Festival last January, where it was one of the best documentaries about a brilliant and goofy kid named Justin Hall, whose homepage made him one of the earliest stars of the first days of the World Wide Web. Hall posted a daily diary in which he wrote down everything in his life, sometimes in very indiscreet detail.
I'm not sure I can speak to that exact term boyfriend. With Justin, things are really fluid all the time. But in terms of being intimate with Justin, I mean, it is a problem, and because anybody can read about it on the page, and if he uses your name, then it's obvious.
The film, called Homepage, follows him around the country as he meets other pioneers of the emerging web, including Howard Rheingold, who, like a lot of people, has a love-hate relationship with Justin.
I wrote a really long, intense, personal rant about how I thought you were trying to parent me yesterday.
Well, great. Put it on your website.
I didn't put it on my website. I exercised restraint, Howard.
Homepage is an unusually inventive documentary, and it is being released in an unusually inventive way. It opens next Friday in New York theatrically, but its director, Doug Block, is premiering it free, full-length, uncut, on the web. So starting this weekend, you can see it at www.ifilm.net.
One philosophy prof here, I went up to him to ask him to support my major or support my class, support some of my efforts here institutionally, you know, that I was having a problem because I couldn't pick a department in the school, you know. I'm just doing all these things that are all from these, it's a combination of art and writing and religion and this and that. And
Homepage is a groundbreaking film all the way around. It was shot entirely on handheld digital cameras, and now it's being given away online as a promotional device. Homepage is at www.ifilm.net, and in more ways than one. It's my video pick of the week. Now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed on this week's show. 2 thumbs up on Anywhere But Here, with strong performances by Susan Sarandon and Natalie Portman. We split on Pokemon, the first movie. Joyce thinks this animated feature is fine for its target audience. I think kids deserve better. We split again on Dogma. I admired the spirit behind Kevin Smith's satiric comedy. Joyce thought it was exhausting and not funny. We split again big time on The Messenger. And finally, 2 big thumbs up for Felicia's Journey. So some big disagreements this week.
Yeah, pretty exciting. And I want to leave you with 2 words about Dogma. Bow wow.
And now you have to go make a good confession. Thanks a lot, Joyce. It's been fun sparring with you 2 weeks in a row. Remember, you can hear our reviews, Joyce's and mine, on the web at ebert-movies.com, part of the Go Network, and my print reviews are at suntimes.com. Next week, some big new holiday movies, including 007's latest adventure, The World Is Not Enough, with Pierce Brosnan back as James Bond. And Tim Burton's ghostly thriller, Sleepy Hollow. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
Pop Secret is the only microwave popcorn made with real Land O'Lakes butter. Pop Secret, perfect popcorn is our passion.
From Jennifer Convertibles and Jennifer Leather, it's no interest, no payments, no down payment for 1 year at Jennifer Convertibles and Jennifer Leather.
Inside every Hot Pockets pepperoni pizza are spicy pepperoni, real mozzarella, zesty sauce, and a crispy, crusty, tender, flaky crust.
What are you gonna pick?
Hot Pockets.
The Game of Knowledge, the fun and educational game with 2 levels of questions that challenge kids and parents in 6 exciting categories. The Game of Knowledge from University Games.
Closed captioning for Roger Ebert and the Movies is brought to you by...
No business wants to be in the red, but the money you save at Office Max could help keep you in the black. Office Max, we go to the max for you.